And John, real quickly, one other question, I'll stick with you. What about the size of the company? Is that going to play an impact here? If somebody is with a small company, maybe just a few trials, and they're interested in benchmarking, does the whole process become a bit easier, or is it going to be a bit more difficult in that case?
Well, I think if you don't have as many studies or very few studies that you've run previously, or maybe this is your first major program, you don't have nearly as much information to look back on to help generate internal benchmarks. But we were at that situation ourselves just a few years ago, and it is more challenging. I think that's where you try to build off of the experience of the people that you have, or I think you alluded to it earlier, and Reb alluded to it, potentially pull in some external folks who can help you to develop some of those benchmarks, or work through various industry forums to help develop some of those benchmarks. And then as you start to build your portfolio, and Bari mentioned this earlier, is continue to adjust and develop and change those benchmarks as you see fit, not just related to some of the changes you may see in the industry, but of course based on all the experience that now you've gathered just by running some studies. So long story short, I do think it is. I do think it's a little bit more challenging. You don't have as much history, but you definitely have, I would hope, some institutional knowledge and individuals you can look at that have had some experience in this space, or if not, look externally to bring some people in to help.
Okay, the only question I have left, and if you had a question that you didn't get to submit, again, I'll mention my email address again at the end, and you can send it to me, and we'll definitely try and get you an answer. But Bari, even though this topic was on pricing and benchmarking, I was amazed by how many people submitted questions about CRO selection. And I can tell you, when I'm talking to folks from the small to mid-sized companies, we in the industry can talk about these high-minded topics like AI and machine learning and blockchain and mining EHRs and EMRs. When I talk to those people, their biggest concern always seems to be, how do I pick the right CRO? So again, based on the years you've had in the industry and everything you know, the question was, what's a list of items and action items you should look into before selecting the right CRO? Do you have any bullet points or tips? What are the things that are most important to you when you're looking for a CRO and deciding if they're the right fit for your company?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and I don't know that there's a completely right answer. As you said, from my years of experience and my opinion, I do think that most of the CROs out there, speaking about the major large CROs, they all have a lot of the same capabilities at the end of the day. And then when you're talking about smaller CROs, some of the niche CROs, they, depending on what your needs are and essentially the global nature of the trials that are run, they may be a better fit. But ultimately, I think, to me, at least what I've seen at companies like Regeneron and even at Pfizer, which is, obviously a lot bigger and a large pharma, I believe the same things are important. To me, the most important aspect is culture. If there's a good cultural fit, if you are aligned with the same values and sort of the thinking and team environment and collaboration in both companies, then that's likely a company you're going to work well with. But I do believe when it comes down to selecting the CRO at the end of the day for a trial or a program, as much as the CROs have a lot of the same capabilities, it's the team. The team that you're going to get that's going to run that trial, their strategy for the trial, their thinking and proposal around how they think it's going to get done, and whether it's well thought out and really robust in terms of how they've approached it and the team they're going to put on. To me, that's what will drive the success of the program.